Units give us an indication of what a quantity is. So if it's measured in meters, then it's some kind of length, a distance. Or if it's measured in seconds, then it's obviously a unit of time. It also gives us an indication of how big a quantity is. So, for example, an hour, 1 hour, is larger than 1 second. There are actually only 7 basic units from which everything else is defined. We call these SI units. There are meters, which are obviously units of length. There are seconds, which are the basic unit of time. There are kilograms, which are the basic unit of mass. There is the ampere, which is the unit for electric current. There is the Kelvin, which is the unit for temperature. There is the mole, which you may have heard of in chemistry, which indicates how much of a substance or how many there are of something. And finally, there is the candela, which is for luminous intensity. All the other units we use are derived units. For example, just a few of them. We use meters per second for speed. We use kilograms per cubic meter for density. We define the Newton, which is can also be written as kilogram meters per second squared for force. And we can use the joule, which is also newtons times meters, for energy. And those are just some examples of derived units. I'm going to take you through a process which is good approach for converting units from one type to another, or a quantity, say, that's measured in kilometres per hour, to convert that into meters per second. And that's something you're going to need to be able to do as you go on through this course. So, for example, we might take 100 kilometres an hour, and let's say we want to express that as meters per second. Just while I'm here, I'm just going to say that this is one significant figure. Do some rounding later on after we've done the conversion. Okay, so to convert one unit to another type, so kilometres per hour to meters per second, let's start with 100 kilometres per hour. Now you know that you can multiply anything by 1 and it will be unchanged. So 3 times 1 is still 3, 100 kilometres per hour times 1 is still 100 kilometres per hour. But instead of writing 1, let's do something tricky and say we want something that equals 1 here. We want to get rid of the hours down the bottom here, so let's try and put something with hours at the top. We want to replace it with seconds. Okay, how can we make hours per second equal 1? Well, 1 hour is the same as 3,600 seconds, because there are 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour. So there we go. We've multiplied 100 kilometres per hour by this value here, which means we still have the same value. Essentially, we are multiplying by 1, but we're going to change those units. And so we're going to see what happens here. The hours cancel because one's on the top, one's on the bottom, and we're left with 100 divided by 3,600, and the units that we're left with are kilometres per second. Fabulous. We've gone from kilometres per hour into kilometres per second, but now we need to do this again and convert those kilometres into metres. So we're going to multiply again. We want to get rid of the kilometres, so we need to put the kilometres on the bottom, metres on the top. 1 kilometre is 1,000 metres. Our units cancel, and we can combine that all together. 100 times 1,000 on 3,600 metres per second. Now if we do that calculation, we get 27.777 metres per second. Our original value that we were given, the original speed, was one significant figure. Because we've done some multiplying and so on, we need to round our final value to one significant figure. And so one significant figure would be 30 metres per second. And that's just one way you can approach converting units from one type to another. And you can apply the same idea to a whole bunch of different unit conversions.